Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to do something fun and different today. So I asked you guys over on Instagram to enter your assumptions about me. I saw another creator post about this, and so I was like, let's do that, because sometimes I feel like I don't really open up to you guys too much on here, and YouTube is where I started, and I feel like I want to kind of get back to that, and I want to just like let you in a little bit more, not too much, but like, you know, I just also thought this was just fun and different and that we could all just have fun with it. So why don't we just start and talk about the assumptions that you guys have. I thought this was like a good, it's kind of like a Q&A, but it's not. It's also just really interesting to hear what you guys like assume and think about me and, you know, whatever. So let me pull those. All right, I'm gonna start from like the first entries to the last. Obviously can't like talk about all of them, but okay. So the first one is, you are more routined with kids and schedules than your husband. So actually, we're both very, very routined. It's not that I'm more routine than him. We actually both really love our routine, and we have stuck with our routines since like, you know, Presley, and we realized that having a routine is so good for her and for us. It's more predictable. It also adds more balance, even though I hate that word balance because I don't think there truly ever is balance, but it does add more of what feels like a balance to our lives when we have a routine, and he definitely loves and appreciates that. So we're both equal in that. Like, he enforces it very, you know, much so, and I enforce it the same as him. Did I even say that? What was I saying? All right, so next is, this person's trying to say, you're a loyal friend, adequate, realistic person with correct sense of situation judgment. So I'm totally a person that likes to kind of check things out before getting involved. You know what I mean? Like, when I go to an event or when I go and do something, I'm definitely the type of person that kind of likes to kind of read the room or get a feel of the energy, scope out, you know, the crowd or the place to see if I'm gonna like it, if it's something I can jive with, if it's something I want to be a part of. I don't really love to just jump right into things. I love to feel it out first. It could be anything in my life, whether it's going into business with someone, working with someone, being friends with someone. I definitely like observe. I'm such an observer. Yeah, that's definitely true. Loyal friend. I love to think that I'm a loyal friend, sometimes almost to a fault, because I think that also comes with where you grew up and like how you grew up, because I grew up on a tiny little island where it was like everything was about and around family. So you know, when you grow up like that and you have such a sense of culture in that way, you know what the meaning of family is, and you never want to, like, you know, backstab or go against your family. And with that, you learn about loyalty, right? You are usually most loyal to your family. So I feel like that's where I get my sense of loyalty. So when moving like out here to California, I kind of didn't really feel like people had the same meaning or sense of loyalty as I did. So I, in a way, also felt like I would get hurt a lot, because certain things that I would do as a friend, other people wouldn't do for me. But I quickly had to realize that, like, living in a place as big as California and then growing up on an island, like, you're probably gonna have different meanings of loyalty, and sometimes that's okay. And also that I had to kind of be, you know, be okay with that, but also just like not expect things. And so yeah, I think with that though, it kind of made me a little bit guarded, because I did want to find friends and people who kind of did have the same meaning of loyalty as me. I didn't want to find people who would give me the same sense of loyalty back that I would give them, because, you know, I don't always want to give so much of the good that I have in me to people that don't really appreciate it in a sense. So yeah, you know, I kind of had to learn where to like, or where's the fine line, or where's the balance, or in a way kind of separate different types of friends, know what to give and what not to give. And I don't know if that's like a good way of like living. I think that you should probably give all you know, give as much as you can. But I don't think that's like true for every situation. Like I think you know who you can give so much to, and then who you shouldn't really give as much as of yourself to. You know what I mean? Okay, next is that I would rather live back home on an island than in Cali and enjoy the small, quiet life. That is definitely true now that I have kids, especially the fact that I have 2 kids. I like completely appreciate simplicity now. If it was just me and Jamie, we would be off doing all the fancy things, making, you know, enjoying the complicated things. Now it's just like, I just need ease. You know, I still love to dress up. I still want to wear my heels if I can. I still want to like look nice, be presentable, because that's what makes me personally feel good. Outside of that, I just want to be close to my family. I want the sun. I want the beach. I want all those feel good things that are so simple that just kind of make all the difference. I think the ocean, the sun, family, those are such simple things, but I appreciate it so much now, especially having grown up on an island like that and having that my whole life, and then living in a place like California. You do get all of that, but it's just so much more complicated here, right? There's so much traffic. You have to pay for everything, including parking and just everything. My family's not close by. And it's just always like a trek to do anything, right? You always have to make a reservation ahead of time. You always have to plan ahead, because if not, you'll be waiting forever. It's like back home, it's just like whatever, you walk in, you know? It's just so laid back. And with kids, when you just always have to plan ahead, sometimes it's just like, ugh, forget it. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right, next one is, I think you're strict, but you try to be easygoing on camera. So that's kind of an interesting thing. The thing about me, and I don't know if it's like people that are into astrology probably say like that's the Gemini in me, but I am so like down to earth and easygoing. But if you cross the line with me, that's where I'm just like, I could cut you off so fast if I just get like the worst vibe and the worst feeling, and if I feel like you're just like a shady person. But also like being on camera, like I don't really know how else I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'm just supposed to be like strict or just like go off the rails on camera all the time unless I need to. So I am easygoing unless there's something that I need to not be easygoing about, that I truly believe in, then I will put my foot down. You guys have seen me talk about, you know, my experience recently at a restaurant with the general manager. And then I also talked very strongly about my clothing line and what happened there and how I wanted to make sure that people knew. So there's instances like that where I will truly let my voice be heard. Because I think as women, we need to do that. And I think that we're always scared to. And I think that is the misconception and the assumption, you know, that is there about me, that I'm just easygoing. But then, yeah, I will definitely stand up for myself if I feel like I need to. Okay, next one is you were always popular with everyone, especially the guys. That's hilarious. So in my high school, I went to a really small private, like Baptist high school. And I ended up graduating high school with like 7 kids in my class. And I was probably like, I went to school with some really smart kids, because the private school I went to, you had to like take a test, pass it. The reason why my graduating class was so small is because it was such a hard high school. It was like a prep to college. It was like a college prep high school. So the workload they would give you was to prepare you for the workload you would get in college. So we would start off with a full class, and then slowly throughout the year, it would just dwindle down, because students would just like leave and go to a different high school because they couldn't take the workload and how hard the school was. I was definitely not one of those people that was smart. I just kind of like knew my way around. But like majority of my classmates that I ended up with all ended up going to like Ivy League colleges, and I did not. But on our superlatives in high school, you know, in the yearbook, you'd vote for people, and I was voted most popular, I think 1 or 2 years. But I honestly, it's not about the popular. I think what you guys probably don't know about me is that I hate to see someone sitting alone. I hate that with all my heart to this day. Like, I was just friends with everybody. It didn't matter if you were the nerdy, smart kid. Didn't matter if you were just like not popular. Like, I was friends with everyone. I would talk to everybody. I was just that type of person. So I think in that sense, maybe that's why they thought I was popular. I don't know, but I did get voted that. But again, like I said, I hate seeing a person sitting alone. And what I mean is that I will go and I will like invite you to come and sit with us. So yeah, that's just the kind of person I am. I don't like look at it as a popularity thing. I'm not like raving that I was popular. I think I'm such an empath. I just really would hate to be in that position if I was that person sitting alone. Like, I would hate that if no one ever reached out to me. I've definitely been in that position, and I just never want anyone to feel that way. And I was always friends with everyone. Like, it didn't matter. You know what I mean? And I think in a way that like is what helped me kind of, I don't know, get through that school. Because they would just help me out academically, whatever. But yeah. And then with the guys part, there are definitely guys that like me. I liked them back, but like, yeah. Okay, next assumption is you are a real one. You don't have many friends, but the few that you have, you love so much. It got cut off, but I think they meant to say you love so much. So the thing about me is I do not use the word friend loosely or lightly the way that so many people out here do. I will say that I know of a person or that we're an acquaintance, but I mean, people out here are just like friends with everybody, right? And again, I think that's just like the whole like islander in me, maybe. I'm just like, not everyone is my friend. You know what I mean? Like, I think so many people just use the term friend lightly that everyone ends up being their friend. But like, you know, I've always been someone that I literally would rather have one good quality friend than to be friends with everybody. I don't want to be friends with everybody because it's just not genuine. I've always been in groups of 3. So I'm still best friends with the best friends that I had from back home. And there's 3 of us. Same here. Like, my 2 best friends were in groups of 3. It's always been 3 for whatever reason with me. And I love that though. So I would always have like my small little core strong friend group. But yeah, still to this day, I love an intimate friend group because I feel like that's who you trust. When it gets so big, and I have girlfriends out here who have big groups, and it was always kind of nasty, to be honest. Like, I would hear one side talk about the other side and the other side talk about the other side, and they're all like claim to be really good girlfriends, like the best of friends, and it would appear that way also like in social media. And I would know kind of the backstory because these groups of friends would try to like get me to go in with them, and I always just was like, I always like teetered on the edge. Like, I was friends with them, but I never wanted to get too close because I just knew they just always talked about each other, and I didn't really want to be a part of that. And so it's funny that I'm talking about that now because my good girlfriend who was a part of that group is no longer part of that group for those exact reasons. And I would always tell her, just be careful. I always told her, and now that she's not friends with them, she's like, you are always telling me, like, you were so right. I just know that if your friend is talking about other people they barely don't even know, like, if that person can easily talk about others, they can so easily talk about you. You know what I mean? So I'm always weary of those types of people. Good quality people, that's super hard to find, and that's why I always have a small group of them. So yes, that statement is extremely true, and I'm not like embarrassed of it. I'm actually proud that I found, you know, people like that, because it's, like I said, hard to find. Next one is you went to school for something medical related. That is Absolutely not true. I went to school for business. I got my Bachelor of Science in Business Management. Okay, next assumption. I assume you're the man in the relationship. Maybe masculine energy. Jamie just nods. So I would say yes, and I think Jamie would say yes. He has said yes. And honestly, proudly. He says yes to that proudly. He's not ashamed of it. I think he knows I just make better decisions. A lot of times I'll make decisions over him and it'll end up being the right outcome, and he'll look at me and say, yeah, you were right. Like, and I think that's just a mom thing, right? Like, moms know best. But I think that's also just kind of the way he is. Like, he lets me make the final decision, and then there's times that I just don't want to decide and I let him. You know what I mean? And he's just like a gentleman in that way. It's not about control. It's just that, you know, I think he'd want the same in a way for like Presley. If she were to marry somebody, that he would kind of let her, like, he would definitely have a say and a part and a role for sure, but that he would always let the woman kind of be, I don't know what the word is, but not so much like the dominant one, but more like, in a way, the final say, but not in a bad way, you know? So I got that a couple times. The other one that I got a lot was that it's either you are rich, you were born in or grew up in a wealthy family, just like a lot of that. You are a rich bitch. Someone wrote that. You're rich with like the money bag sign. So I kind of want to talk about the grew up in a wealthy family part, because I think that the way that I am is because of the way that I grew up and what like I saw like my dad do. So I want to try to make this as quick as I can because I don't want it to be so long-winded. I don't want this video to be like an hour long. But my dad is one of 13 kids. His dad died very, very young. So they did not have much at all, right? Can you imagine just a mom with 14 kids to raise? And so they would just have to live off the farm and live off whatever they could. And my dad just knew that he did not want to live that way. So my dad was actually the first out of all 14 kids to graduate from college because he just wanted a better life. And he just kind of figured it out. Like, he just was a survivor. He just like really wanted a better life for his future family and for himself. And he did. First one to graduate college, somehow put himself through that. Got like a job at Merrill Lynch, worked with stocks, and this was all in Hawaii, right? And so he became very independent, very driven, worked for Merrill Lynch and who knows who else. And then from Hawaii, Merrill Lynch wanted to move him to Guam. But since Guam and Saipan is where I'm from, they were so close, my dad decided, why, I'm just gonna move to Saipan. Like, there's no point in me being this close to home and not just be home. But then there was no job for him in Saipan with Merrill Lynch. So my dad kind of had to decide or figure out how to make a living back home. So you know how, like, if anyone has visited Hawaii, any island in Hawaii, you know that like the macadamia chocolates are just like super popular everywhere. It's like what you get at the airport as a souvenir. It's what you get and bring back to your family. It's just such a touristy thing. So my dad basically did that for Saipan because Saipan's economy is driven by tourism. And so he started that back home and he became known as like the chocolate guy or whatever, and it blew up. And you know, he made his whole like thing off of that, and since then expanded that business into a wholesale company where he would supply the hotels and the government and the schools and like so many different, basically you could supply anyone and everyone and everything and every business with everything. And he still has that company today. And it's about as old as my brother. It's like almost a 40-year-old business. And so yeah, I grew up with that around me, and he would just like take me everywhere. He would, you know, take me sometimes to his meetings. He would make me pick up checks for him at these different places when he needed to get paid. He would make me deposit his checks at the bank. I was like such a little girl. He'd make me do all these things for convenience purposes because he had to pick me up from school, but also I think it was such a learning lesson for me, but I admired him so much. I wanted to be exactly like my dad because I loved how busy he was. He just seemed like such a boss, which he was. And like, I just knew I was gonna be like him one day, and that's exactly where I get my drive from. So when you say I grew up in a wealthy family, we were very fortunate, right? And you know, my dad's backstory was the whole reason why he was driven and why he was able to give us the life that he had. It's weird now that I'm an adult and I have my own kids and I have to support my own kids, you know, seeing the things that we did back then. Like, I couldn't really understand like what those things all meant. Like, we were able to be a part of certain things, go to certain places all the time, and like the cost of those things you don't really think of, but at some point you wonder, like, how much did that really cost if we were able to be a part of certain things and do certain things all the time? And like, how much money do you need to make to be able to like have your whole family do those certain things, right? And now that I'm there, it's like, okay, it's not easy at all. So I appreciate him kind of like teaching me the things that I know now, or just like molding me or being the person that I always wanted to be. So yeah, I would just consider ourselves like super, super fortunate, and we're all just very grateful for that. All right, the next one that I got a lot too was that a lot of you guys assume that I am Filipino, but I am not. I get that a lot, but I am a Pacific Islander, which Filipinos are also considered Pacific Islander. I think that if you dig super, super deep into like our gene pool, there is a little bit of Filipino in there. But my mom, like my grandma's half Japanese, and then we're like Chamorro is what you call people from Saipan. So I have that. I have a little bit of Japanese. There's like a little bit of German from my dad's side, because Boyer is so not a common last name for Saipan or for the islands. So yeah, I really need to do one of those like 23andMe like ancestry type of tests to really figure out what I am. But I am not like full Filipino or anything. Okay, another assumption that I got quite a bit, which is kind of funny, is that everything in my home is organized and extremely clean. I'm not sure where you guys like get that, but it's kind of true. The thing is that I cannot like function if things are not like organized. Like, my bed always has to be made, always, every day. Even if I wake up and I don't make it right away and I have to like do all these things and so many hours have gone by, then I come back and it's 3 p.m. I'll still make it, even though it's just gonna get destroyed at bedtime in like a couple hours. It just makes me feel so much better. I feel like there's so much more order. And yeah. All right, next assumption is that you're more introverted than extroverted. So I think it's definitely true. I've never been the type of person who needs to be the center of attention, the loudest in the crowd. I actually kind of get annoyed by those people. But yeah, I am definitely like introverted, and I feel like I've become more that way the older that I got, just because you kind of just like, you find your place and then you don't really feel the need to be that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really feel the need again to be like so out there. Like, I'm okay in my lane, like where I'm at. Like, if I feel the need to, then I will, but I usually don't. And it's always just around the right people. If I'm around the right people that I'm comfortable with, then I'm very comfortable just being just like, you know, maybe a little bit louder, a little bit more like extroverted. It just depends, right? Another one I wanted to answer, assumption, is the mark in your eye is a birthmark. So where is it? Is it this eye? Hold on. Okay, so it's the mark in my eye right here. So this is kind of like a mole, is what an eye doctor told me. And I guess in a way it also is kind of like a birthmark. And it used to be a lot smaller. It just kind of grew, and I've seen many different doctors about it, and it's not anything that's like harmful. It's funny because I knew this other guy back home that also had a very similar thing. But yeah, it's just something that's a part of me. I know I get asked about it a lot, and I think I can get it like removed, or the color, do something about the color to make it white, but I don't really feel the need to. It doesn't bother me. I've had it since I was little. Like I said, it started off like a lot smaller and then it just kind of got bigger. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. I don't really feel the need to go in and like fix it or you know, it's kind of just a part of me, and it's like a mole, it's like a birthmark thing that, you know, is not harmful. Okay, a couple of these I got too. The assumption that I only buy high-end items, jewelry, handbags, clothing, that I'm bougie, that I care what other people think. So I've definitely come to the point in life where I want better quality stuff, and a lot of times that's clothing. With the whole bag thing, I don't care as much anymore. Before, like, I used to just like want all these bags and blah blah blah, and ever since like our house got broken into, you know, the last house that we were at, I completely do not care anymore. Like, I could care less about having a new Chanel bag, anything. Like, I have only bought bags like under $500, and I feel like I only really use those bags now. And yeah, I think it just changed the whole meaning for me on like the whole materialistic part of, you know, of life. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I don't care as much. Like, I don't even want to spend the money on like a new Chanel bag. I think the prices nowadays are so effing stupid. It's like ridiculous. And yeah, so no, I mean, I want good quality stuff, but good quality doesn't have to mean that they're like astronomical, right? I also just want a more curated wardrobe. And I think with curation, when you're gonna have like not so much stuff, that's when you should invest in better quality, because if you're only going to use a small amount of things but you're going to use them often, they should go through the wear and tear, right? And like uphold themselves well. And a lot of times those items are a little pricier. So that's kind of where I'm at. But in terms of like handbags and things like that, I'm like so over it. Jewelry, no. But yeah, like a little nicer of things, you know? Okay, running out of time here a little bit, but I'm gonna try to do 2 and then call it a day. I'm gonna try to answer like 1 as a bunch because they all kind of like coincide. The assumption that I eat very little, that I like to stay slim. What else? Everything having to do with that topic. So absolutely not true that I eat very little. In fact, I eat so much. Ask Jamie. I can eat more than him. I love food, and I don't know what it is. Sometimes I feel like I just have a bottomless pit. I can eat. The one thing I don't really love snacking. I'd rather eat like small actual meals like than to snack, because I feel like that's where it just becomes unhealthy and endless. Is if I'm snacking, I don't get full, then I'm just gonna keep going, and it just is never satisfying. I feel worse about myself if I'm constantly snacking than just eating like an actual meal and then just stopping. But yeah, I like to stay healthy. It's not that I like to stay slim, I like to stay healthy, especially now, right now, postpartum. Working out is something I'm doing more for my mental health, because I just really need it postpartum, you know? But I do love staying in shape, staying fit, staying toned. I just feel like it helps me long term, mentally, longevity, and all of that. Okay, last one. I always assumed you're super picky and get annoyed really quickly. So I don't think I'm super picky. I think with certain things, maybe like with clothing and like, yeah, I'm super picky. Like, I just know exactly what I like when it comes to that, hence why I do what I do. When it comes to food, I am not super picky at all. I love food. I love all types of food. I will try like not anything, but like most things. But the part about me getting annoyed really quickly, like, I feel like I do get easily annoyed. Like, I could be like somewhere and like, I don't know, be around an obnoxious person and I'll be like, oh my God, so annoying. So annoying. But again, I said it earlier, like, I don't feel the need to be the loudest person in the room. So sometimes things like that and people like that annoy me. And I just, you know, I just try my best to avoid being in those situations anyway to begin with, so I don't have to be annoyed. But yeah, I get annoyed by certain things, like people that like don't really think before doing things or say things. It's just like, come on. You know, I get annoyed by, I feel like, the things that most people get annoyed by, or I don't know, actually. I just, yeah, sometimes I just don't have much patience. But having kids has really taught me to be so much more patient, because I will admit that I just, like, no. Thank God for Jamie, because he's like the most patient soul. But yeah, I get annoyed very easily. And I just try my best to breathe it out and not be that way. But yeah, sometimes I just can't help it. There's just like, sometimes I just look at people, I'm like, are you serious? Like, why do you have to be like that? Anyway, all right. That is all the time I have. I'm so sorry. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I don't know what the next video is gonna be. Maybe cleaning out my closet, or maybe, I don't know. But regardless, I will see you guys soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for sending your assumptions in. Bye.